Okay, welcome to the Radio.co request show. We'll be going live in around 30 seconds time. So get yourself comfortable and we will be live in around 30 seconds.
Hi guys, welcome to the Radio.co request show. Today you've got me, Dave, you've got James, and you've got Josh as well. So kind of following on from the similar themes of what we've done before, where we're going to kind of do this, go back to support-based one tonight as well, because I know you had Phil last week doing a bit more of a demo. So yeah, we're going to go back into your support questions tonight. We've got a couple of demos coming up, one on Radio.co Talk, which I'm going to do for you in about 10 minutes time, and then another one after that going over tags and voice tracking, which James is going to do as well. Okay, let's just fire away with these questions in, guys. So we've got Charles from Classic Jams Radio. There's asked quite a few, which I think they would be really good to kick off with today. What's the most effective way to get new listeners? He says he's got a very popular Instagram page, but isn't translating that into listeners. Well, I personally say it's all about content on Instagram. If you want to translate those people into listeners and really get them on board, I'd create as much content as possible there. So you could even, like, if, for example, you do a show on a Saturday night, you can maybe do, I don't know, the best albums of the 80s, 5 best albums of the 80s. That means you've then got five posts on your Instagram for that following week. So do post, this is what I post, this is what. So you can do a post every day of what album you put in from the previous show. That's going to obviously generate you comments, content, things like that for you. And you can also get, say, then do another one the next week, then do 5 worst. And again, you keep creating that content. So you're going to do 5 normal posts from that. You can even put them on your stories, do polls as well. Do you agree with what I've said? Yes, no. And that'll also give you some interesting listener insights as well about what your listeners think and kind of where their head's at with your music and your content. But yeah, it's all about that engagement, I'd say, and kind of trying how to get those people onto your station. Is all about engaging them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I could say that taking advantage of the Instagram stories too, especially while you're doing your live content, will also help bring listeners over in real time. If people know that your show is started and you post on your story that you're in the middle of a broadcast or what's happening on your station right at the exact moment, they already know what they're getting into when they're clicking the link to your radio station from, let's say, your Instagram bio or any type of share links like that.
Yeah, definitely. And as well, if you're doing, you can even go live as well on Instagram as well, if you could do that. Obviously, you might not have to play the copyright content on that way, but if you're doing maybe your voice links and stuff like that, or you've got a talk show, a couple of people, go live on Instagram, kind of take it to that audience and get them across that way as well. Charles has asked us again, how does he get himself listed on TuneIn? It's a bit of a difficult one, really. At the moment, kind of TuneIn are kind of going to stations to be listed on there, so they'll ask you more than you can ask them. It's always worth keeping emailing them to see if they kind of change their mind or things like that. But yeah, kind kind of keep in touch with them. There are quite a few other directories as well, which we can recommend. If you kind of go on the blogs or the help centers and search for directories, we've got loads of posts about them as well. So you can get yourself on as many of them as possible. Obviously, get yourself listened to from as many sources as possible as well. Is anyone else? James, do you want to take one at all?
Yeah, brilliant. So we've had a question from Rhonda at Health Dove Radio, and that is, how do I broadcast live from a concert or event? So when you're obviously at a concert or event, what you're looking at doing is you'd be looking at using a broadcast on like a portable device, such as your Android or iOS device. So for this, you can actually get a broadcast on the iOS device, on iOS store, which is available through Radio.co. It's called Pocket Streamer. Or alternatively, on Android, there is an app called Broadcast Myself. And obviously what that allows you to do is that allows you to broadcast live from location. And then obviously that broadcast would send that track information or that audio to Radio.co, where it'd be broadcast live to your listeners. So that's the best way if you are obviously somewhere like a concert or event where you obviously can't bring your computer with you and obviously broadcast via like a Windows broadcaster or Mac broadcaster.
Yeah, it's really good as well if you're maybe covering some breaking news. You're not near your computer. You're out and about, for example. You can really get a good signal up to us through that and broadcast that news live. And there are like interfaces and things like that. I think Focusrite do one which plugs straight into your iPhone, so you can get like really, really good microphones, kind of better than your iPhone microphone or your iPad microphone, and really get some really good clear content going out as well.
Yeah, most likely, exactly.
Okay, moving on to the next one here. We've got Mary's asked a question. It's about the sound quality that goes through from Radio.co, and how does that compare? Well, it kind of depends what you want to do really, and how you want to do that. If you know a lot of people who are listening to your station maybe on the move and not at home, and you might want to choose like a lower bit rate stream or something like that, maybe a 64 or 96 kbps. But on our pro plans, you can go right up to 320 kbps, which is really, really high quality stream. Obviously, the music you need to put on Radio.co needs to be that high quality as well. So yeah, you can really go high and as low as you want really on Radio.co.
Yeah, I was going to say most of our stations tend to hang around the 128 or 192 kilobits per second as well, which is obviously around CD quality. So if that's just some reference point for you, 192, you're looking about CD quality.
Yeah,
definitely take advantage of the mobile optimized streaming option too, if that's an ability. If you have the ability to on your account, as you can have a high quality stream for people who are using their Wi-Fi or online, but at the same time, if someone's using their app and on the road, then it'll automatically adjust to help them out.
Yeah. No. Go on, sorry, Dave.
No, that's fine. No, you go ahead, mate.
All right. No, I was just saying with the AAC stream, which is the mobile streaming link we offer on the bronze plan above, it's roughly the AAC stream, the compression's a lot better than MP3. It's roughly about the same quality as 128 kilobits per second with an MP3 stream. So obviously, if you are using the mobile apps, what we'd recommend is always enabling a mobile streaming in settings broadcast. And what it'll do is it obviously sends less data to the device, which is great on like 4G or 3G when the network's not as stable as obviously you're looking at Wi-Fi or an Ethernet. But at the same time, obviously, it's giving that same kind of audio quality because of the compression used.
Cool. That's great. And then we've got Steve from Glaston Radio asked, what software is best to record multiple people with? He's using Windows at the moment. He's just wondering about that. I kind of always reckon like an entryway into kind of professional software is Adobe Audition. In my personal opinion, it's for radio. It's really good. It lets you do multi-tracks. It's really got really good editing on there as well. It's really, really simple to use, in my opinion, more than the higher end stuff like your Pro Tools, for example. I think Audition's a lot easier to use in that respect.
Yeah, definitely. And also had a question from Apex Radio, and that is, what equipment do I need to be able to receive calls during a live program? So your best bet with this is obviously using a mixer and then having a device connected, such as a mobile phone or a computer with some voice over IP software or something like Skype, or even just having a call come through on your mobile. Have that connected in via the line into the mixer, And then what you'd do is you connect your XLR microphone to that same mixer. And what you then have is you'd have one stream going out. So you'd have the phone and you'd also have your microphone. Both audio will be picked up and sent via the mixer to the Radio.co broadcaster or whatever broadcaster you're using. And then that'll be sent over to Radio.co as well.
Yeah, I think James M recently did a video on how to take calls. I think he did 5 different ways of how you can do it. I'm not sure if that's on our YouTube channel or maybe James's himself. But yeah, Graham, who's running the comments for us, I might be able to put it into the comments for you. Yeah, he just said he'll link it through for you guys. So yeah, you can see like he's done five different ways. I think he's done like Rodecaster through Bluetooth, like really, really old school of the kind of holding your phone up to the mic and a few other ways as well. So yeah, 5 different ways to get yourself to take calls through there, and also you can adapt that as well. It doesn't have to be a phone. It can be it doesn't have to be a phone call. That can be Skype. It can be WhatsApp calling, anything like that. Really, those kind of things can be adapted to, and to kind of what works for you.
Even FaceTime and Google Chat as well.
Yeah,
you can just connect your computer to your mixer, just like James said, and all the outputs will go out through your mixer, and then the inputs will come into your mic, and you're good to go.
Yeah, definitely.
There's another way as well, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. It's a little demonstration on Radio.co talk, which I think we can do now. If we just get my screen up here. Okay, so Radio.co talk is a feature that's on the Gold and Pro plans. Essentially, kind of lets you host talk shows, records them to your station, and then you can rebroadcast them at later times. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got a request show one. It's a setup which we've done specifically for this tonight, but I'll just quickly show you how to, if you're going to do a new one. It's really simple. So if you just go to Media, Talk Shows, then New Talk Show, and then you just add your talk show metadata, and you can also put some custom artwork on there as well. And like, for example, if you're using like web players or the app, or you've got a Radio.co app, like a mobile app, then that custom artwork will come through to there when that's played, if you're using track artwork and not playlist artwork. So the visitor URL, so that's what you give out to the people who are going to come into the talk show and speak on it. You as a station owner wouldn't need it yourself. That's just for the visitors. When I do start this in a second, just to show you guys how it works, James will connect and you can kind of see how you will handle the callers as well. So just in the actions tab as well, you can just edit your metadata and the cover art as well. Okay, so I'm going to start this session now. So you get to choose your input device. I'm going to choose my AKG USB mic, which is plugged in. And again, you get your visitor URL as well there. And if you want to try and call in now, James, if you would.
Of course, yeah.
It can take a few seconds for the call to come through.
Just give me one moment. It's my computer, this.
No problem.
So it has to take off at this point, doesn't it?
And so yeah, it won't let you start recording kind of until you've got your first caller through, really. On the left hand side here, you can see there's like a countdown timer. The maximum talk can be is an hour as well, and that'll kind of start counting down as soon as you start up with your recording, and that'll start from there.
Yeah. And also, just to quickly jump in on this, on the my side, for example, what it now shows me is it asks me which input I want to select for my microphone. So if you have like a USB microphone or an XLR microphone connected to a mixer, what you'd do is in the drop down, you'd select which microphone you want to use for this talk show. Then on the side of it, there's a mic check, which you should obviously do just to check that the audio is working correctly, and it'll replay a bit of audio for you, so you can just make sure everything's finely tuned. Below that, it'll ask you to enter your name, which is going to show on the talk show. So enter your name, accept the privacy statement, and then click the green button, what says call station. And now Dave should get an alert on his side.
So as you can see here, James is connected through. So this will let me. James will come into the talk show then. So now James is in. He's muted by default, so he can't hear me. Sorry, I can't hear him. Sorry, at the moment I can't hear anything coming through his computer. So I just click now the microphone in the middle, and that's going to start my recording. As you can see, we're counting down at the moment. Now, so if I want to go and bring James in, I can ask him whatever questions I want, really, and now you would be able to hear James. You can have this conversation. It's all being recorded. And then you'd say, thanks very much for your time, James. And then we'll speak to you later. You can remute him if you want to bring him back at another point, or you're running multiple callers that you want to maybe get obviously different opinions on, and you maybe don't want people talking over each other, for example. And then once you're happy with that, you can just cross James off there, and he's gone. And I can continue with my talk show. I can do a little bit of an end to it like I am now. And once I'm happy with that, I'll just hit stop. And obviously it tells you your file size there as well, the recording length, and you can also play it back, and you can also cancel the recording as well. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to broadcast that tomorrow. So I'll save that on my system here. Just takes a second. And then it saves successfully. And it will say in progress. Well, it's just while it processes through there. You've clicked talk shows. Head to news and head to talk shows. There we've got a completed talk show at the bottom with my metadata correct, a request share with the artist Dave. It tells you when it's been created and the duration of that. You can also add some tags onto it as well if you want to create that and put that into tags and then put it into your playlist and play it out through your playlist that way. So yeah, that's Radio.co talk from you as the station owner's side or station manager, for example. And yeah, it's just slightly a little bit different for your participants, but not too bad. Like I say, like James said, you just get to choose your input. You just got to agree to some terms and privacy policy, and then just put your name in, and that'll connect through. But yeah, thanks very much for that, Graham. All right, let's go back to some more questions now before James' demonstration in about another 10 minutes' time. So does anyone want to kick off with another question?
Here's what I have one from Paul McCain on What's Happening Radio. He says, my station is geared towards unsigned independent artists. Would you recommend we focus on building our listenership first, or building our music catalog / artists at work first? And a quick answer is since you are having a station that is geared towards unsigned independent artists, you can use those same artists to promote your station. So my suggestion would be just playing the artist's music and getting the artist to get their following to listen to your station. So it's going to go hand in hand. You building the music catalog and reaching out to independent artists, and building your listenership will happen at the same time, really, if you use the independent artists to get your listeners, in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, that'll kind of be a really good organic way to kind of get both. And obviously, the more unsigned and independent artists you've got kind of promoting you and your station, the more are going to see it and come to you as well, to kind of build that catalogue of listeners and music at the same time. And
then you can use popular music to mesh it all together and keep the listeners engaged.
Yeah, that is key. It's about keeping people engaged, like we kind of hit off the show with about the Instagram page. It's all about getting people engaged, getting them looking at your content, digesting that, and tuning into your shows. I think James M also did a working lunch that he does on a Wednesday with someone. I think it maybe in the start of the year, about repurposing content. It's worth checking that out. I think you might be to get it on his LinkedIn and the YouTube, and James M YouTube as well. Yeah, it's all about repurposing content and how kind of creating one piece of content and then 10 other pieces from that one piece of content. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about keeping your station in the forefront of people's minds, really. And when they think, oh, I want to listen to some music, they don't go, I want to go listen to on demand. You want to go, no, I want to go to this station because they play what I want to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. And also, we've had a question from Paul Rochester. Hi, guys. I may have an opportunity to do an interview with a singer. What is the best way to record it for my radio show? So, yeah, just going basically straight off what Dave was doing there. Talk show is the best feature to use for that. Obviously, you'd be able to record an interview, like you were saying there, with the singer. Obviously, then download it and it will save it into your recording section. And then, obviously, you could then rebroadcast that through your station at a later point. The only thing, obviously, with the talk show is it's not live, so it would have to be pre-recorded. So that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, we've got another actually quick question as well from Ange on the talk show. Can they invite 4 guests? It's currently it's the presenter and 3. But obviously, if you're maybe not doing the 4 at the same time, you're maybe doing them one by one. You could even communicate with them on an individual basis and get them to kind of come in at different times. So it kind of just still appears as that maybe that one listener, or sorry, that one or 2 coming through.
Yeah, exactly. Just to obviously follow on from that as well, Dave, I think it might be actually 4 guests you can have. I believe thanks. I may be wrong, but yeah, I think it's 4 guests. So yeah, it's obviously yourself and 4 guests as well who you'd be able to invite. So it'd be 5 of you in total.
And the other question on the talk show about a time limit, yeah, so it's an hour, and as soon as you start recording, there is a timer on there which will count down from the hour, so you'll always know kind of how long you've got left on that recording. I mean, you could always do maybe 2 straight after each other as well, and then when you put them into your schedule, you just schedule them straight after each other, and they'll kind of go over each other then as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we've also had a question from Regan at Trinity Spice FM, and that question is: if I have a few live guest DJs in the studio with me, would they all need to download broadcast using this tool, or on their laptops, or is there a simpler way for them to plug and play? So obviously, the first thing you need to remember is all the DJs would not be able to go live at the same time individually by their computers. Only one DJ can be connected to Radio.co at any one time. That said, obviously, if they're all going live at different times, then yes, they would all need to install broadcast using this tool or another broadcaster on their device in order to connect, because obviously Radio.co needs a broadcaster in order for these streams to be sent to Radio.co. Obviously, another way around doing that as well, just following on, is if you wanted them all to broadcast live at the same time, you're all in the same area, so you're in the same studio. What you could use is, again, use a mixer with multiple channels. You could have an XLR microphone connected to each channel, and then you'd be able to have all your all your DJs on that mixer at the same time, or be able to have a bit of a conversation together, and that will be broadcast as one stream through to Radio.co as well. So it's a bit like, obviously, when you're taking live calls, just using the the aux ports and connecting that straight to Radio.co.
And there's another way as well, if you're not all in the same room, because I know a lot of us aren't at the moment. Like say, we're all kind of all over the place. We're all working from home at the moment. You can use a program called Clean Feed. We have mentioned it a couple of times on these before. It's kind of like a conferencing, but it's really heavy on audio. So maybe like your Zooms and Google Meets aren't that good with the audio quality. Clean Feed is really, really high audio quality as well, and it kind of works in the same way. So if for example, us 3 were to do it, I'd maybe run that session and broadcast that live to Radio.co, but Josh and James would send that audio directly to me as high quality, and that would go then high quality to Radio.co. So yeah, that's another way to do it if you're not all in the same location.
Yeah, that's good. And as a station owner, you can even connect live with your DJ, and quite like you said, the DJ signal gets sent to you, and then you broadcast the DJ signal.
Yeah, and you can do that over any of the broadcasters that are out there at the moment. If you want to head to the live broadcasting section on the Help Center, you can see them all there. There's BUTT, Windows Broadcaster, kind of whatever takes your fancy. It's kind of horses for courses a bit with it. Whatever works best for you is where you should go with that.
Brilliant. So do you want to have a look at going on to the voice tracking and tags on my side? Shall we? Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me just get this up. You've got to bear with me because my computer decides going a huge go slow today. But what we'll do is we'll start off with the voice tracking. So the first thing we do is going to media and then voice tracking. And then if we click up here, new voice track, And we'll put the metadata in here. So I'll call James's voice track. Just keep it simple. There we go. So once you're happy with that, what you just do is click the red microphone button here. And then it'll ask you up here which microphone you'd like to use. So I'll just use the USB one, which is currently plugged into my computer. Click allow, and then it'll ask me here. Once I'm happy, just click the recording. Now the voice tracking is limited to 10 minutes. Obviously, what I'll do is I'll record a segment, so I might do it like this is radio station. Welcome to the radio station. Keep listening. Once I'm happy, I click stop. It'll generate the preview. And then when that preview has generated, might just take a moment. There we go. Click the you can click the green play button, and what it'll do is it'll just play that recording back, and I can obviously make sure I'm happy with it. If I'm not happy, I can click clear recording, and that'll remove the recording from my voice tracking system. Or if I'm happy with it, then what I do is just click create down here. That'll then process, and when it's done, it'll come up as you can see here with Phil's ad, for example. Where it's obviously showing the voice track. So that's great. Now for the voice track itself, if I want to add it into a playlist, I just go down to playlists over here. I find the playlist I'd like to add it to. So for example, I will create on breakfast, go on the edit screen, and then go into voice tracks, and you'll find the voice track here, and I can just drag and drop it wherever I'd like. So I'll just drop it there, for example. And that's how you do a voice track. And voice tracks are normally used to give like the, if you use an automation, for example, but it gives that kind of a live look to it. So for example, if I've got a playlist for an hour long, I could add like little voice tracks into it saying, welcome to the breakfast playlist. You're listening to this on name of the radio station. Thank you for listening. It kind of gives it that kind of live touch, even though it's just completely automated. So that is voice tracking. Now for tags, for example. Oh, just save that. Wait for that banner to load now. Brilliant. Okay, so for tags themselves, tags is obviously used to organize your media. So for example, obviously on Radio.co, you can have thousands of tracks on there, and obviously a good way to organize it is using tags. So for example, I created a tag earlier on called Radio.co, but I'll create a new one now. The first step we want to do is under media, we want to go to tags, and we want to create the tag we're going to use. For example, I will go over here, and I will call it, let's call it request show. And so once I'm happy with that, I can choose a color if I'd like. So let's go. There we go. And we go add. Okay. Now you'll see at the bottom here, I've got the tag request show. Now I want to assign some tags to this track. So all I do is go into media tracks. Okay. And then I'll select the tracks. So for example, I'll go down here and I will select this track and this track. Now what I want to do is I want to add the request show tag to this track. So I go in here and I can either search for it, or if it's available here, you can select it as well. Select that, get that, and go add. So now you'll see it's assigned this tag, these tags, to the color and other track there. Once you're happy, you want to then add that into a playlist. So the next step is going down to playlists. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll create a new playlist. So I'll call this one again, request show. So that's my new playlist. Now in this playlist, all I want to do is I want to just go to tags and find the request show tag and assign that in here. And I'll drop a bit over there. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now what that's done is that's added that tag to this playlist. So what that'll do is you'll see that earlier on I had assigned them 2 tracks to this tag. So now if I schedule this playlist into the schedule, what it'll do is when it's scheduled to play, Radio.co will cycle between the 2 tracks I've just assigned to this tag. So this is a good way for automating it, because if you say I added 20 tracks to this tag, when the playlist was scheduled in, if there's 20, there we go. If there's 20 tracks assigned to it, what Radio.co would do, it will go through each track, but there'll be no order. So it randomly select a track from that tag, and then it'll go through all the tracks before it repeated any of them. So you can always be sure that when you're using tags, all the tracks will be all the tracks in that tag will be played before it goes over any of the new tracks again. So that's all how you do tags. Once you're happy again, just make sure you save the changes. That'll then save your playlist. And then obviously you can then schedule that into the schedule if you'd like it to be broadcast.
One thing you can do also with the tags is adding multiple tags to tracks. It'll give you a little bit more randomization. If you have, 3 or 4 tags attributed to one song and then shuffle your tags, you get greater randomization to the point where you don't even know whether it's going through which list when it's shuffling.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one from me as well. If you want to like search whatever kind of, you're not too sure what's been assigned a certain tag. Yeah, I don't know if you can do it there, James. If you hit media, then tags, it'll display all your tags, and then you can click the tag itself, and it'll kind of show you all the tracks that are assigned to a certain tag.
Yeah. Exactly. So what you do is in the actual search track section, just type in tag and then semicolon followed by the tag. So we'll select, we'll do request show, shall we? So we'll go search request, select that. And then if I click enter, what it'll do is it'll show all the tracks which are contained within the tag I've just searched for. So yeah, when you want to search for it, you can't just, that's something you need to remember. When you look in the search field, you can't just type in the request show, because if I type that in now, as you'll see, it'll bring up no results. You need to make sure you add tag semicolon followed by the actual tag name. That's the only way that Radio.co knows that you're searching for a tag as opposed to just a standard track.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much everything on the voice tracking and the tag section.
Thanks, James. So we'll just head back to some more questions now. I think we've got about 10 minutes left or so. We've got Kavish from South Africa says they're under a lockdown. The best way to do vocals in the studio, because they've got someone in the desk. I'm not sure if you, when we mentioned clean feed before, I'm not sure if that question came before or after we mentioned clean feed. So it's worth reiterating. If you head to the blog as well, radio.co/blog, search clean feed there, just as one word. We've got a couple of articles on that as well, and I'll show you how to kind of run that and link it to radio.co. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We've got Carl wants to embed some stuff onto his website, but he's not a HTML expert. That's fine. We don't expect anyone to be a HTML expert who comes onto radio.co. If you go to when you go onto your dashboard, you open listen, and then you've got listen links, you got your web players and embed codes as well. And you can do some really good things like the embed code. So if you don't want certain things, or you do want certain things, you can find them there, such as album artwork, recently played, like if you wanted to put a history on your website, something like that. It does like the now playing as well. So yeah, there are more codes you can get there, and they just need to be just embedded onto your website. From there, and the API will take care of the rest on that, really.
Yeah, exactly. We've also had a question from David from Mix It Radio, and that question is, why is it when I put the tags, for example, hip hop, it doesn't really shuffle the songs? I hate repetitive songs replay. It would be awesome to have it shuffle songs and not have them replay in a timely length. So what's going to happen there is it's going to be down to separation rules. So that's probably something I should have covered earlier. So like I was saying earlier on, with tags, it'll play all the tracks in that tag before it'll replay any of them. Again, for a second time. The only exception to that is separation rules. So, for example, if I had the separation rules set to 10 minutes, okay, and I played 3 songs by a certain artist, and then they'd have to wait 10 minutes, you see. So you'd have to wait 10 minutes between tracks. So you need to make sure your separation rules are set correctly. A lot of the time it is obviously down to the artist and album separation, especially if you've got any of your metadata incorrect. So, for example, it's unknown artist or album. Obviously, you've got to think that Radio.co will also pick them up as all one artist or all one album, and that'll be counted within separation rules. So what I'd probably recommend doing is trying to disable your separation rules for the time being. See how you get on with that, and that should resolve the issue. And then what you can do is start going down. So, for example, if it does resolve the issue, which I imagine it would, then you can start with a higher kind of threshold. So maybe like 1,000 minutes, and then obviously keep going down until you start seeing that some of the tracks are not completing, or not, the whole playlist is not being broadcast, and then obviously you know where that kind of threshold is.
It would be a good idea to make sure your tags are, your ID tags for your songs are set. So your artist and your album. A lot of people will have an unknown artist or an unknown album, and that can mess up your separation because the system will consider unknown as an artist or an album. We run into a lot of issues sometimes where people don't know that. And even when I first started broadcasting myself, I was frantic, saying, "Hey, wait, my station won't play." And then they were like, "Well, hey, buddy, you got your artist separation, your album separation rule, but you don't have any artists. So be sure that you're tagging your songs and editing them if need be, so that there's an artist and an album."
Yeah, that is it's a big one. And conversely, on the other hand, is that as well. If you've got, for example, an artist, I don't know, say you've got an artist Dave, and then you've got another artist, let's say Dave featuring James. That Radio Co treats that as two artists. So I put any like featurings on the track title, not the artist. If you really want to get hammered into those separation rules. Separation rules are found in the advanced tab on the settings as well. If anyone wants to, you can find them. Yeah.
And we'll probably recover that actually in maybe next request show. Might be a good topic to cover that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, settings might be a good one to cover.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I see a live another question here by Scotty. Scotty P says, anyone know a fix to why your mic volume goes to max every time you do your voice tracking? Maybe an iMac thing, I don't know. If you look in the voice track tab, there isn't really a place to adjust your volume, so you'd have to do that from your system. So if you have your mic and it's on max, especially on an iMac, you go to your sound settings, and then you go to your input, and then you can adjust the input settings on your selected microphone device inside of that tab right there, and that'll adjust your volume going back to the voice tracking feature. And it gives you a live preview within the sound settings in iMac to show you the kind of levels you're getting, just in case it's too loud.
Yeah, and it's the best way to kind of do it. Kind of once you get your level set, kind of before, even like broadcasting live as well and things like that, I'd really look at getting the level set on your computer first, and then going from there.
You can always use headphones to monitor yourself, just to make sure that you are. If you have a mixer, if that's the case, make sure you can always use headphones to make sure that you're coming in on a good volume prior to putting it out there.
Okay, got Ange has asked as well. Songs requested by my listeners don't play automatically. They sit in the request manager. Why is this? It most likely is because there's like a tag. If you go to the playlist editor and you click tags, there's a play request tag in there, and that needs to be in your playlist for a request to play. So just like it does with normal playlists where it goes from top to bottom, you just kind of drag that in, and when it gets to the play request segment, it'll play any request that you've got in the system. You can put a couple in there if you're getting a lot of requests, or even 3 or 4. But yeah, and then you can space them out in your playlist as you want, really.
Yeah, exactly. And also, just to make sure, obviously, you're understanding the requests feature correctly, it will only play the most requested songs. So, for example, if you've got on your request manager 10 tracks that people can select from, or 10 tracks in the tag they can select from, it will only actually play when it's scheduled in the actual most requested track. It won't play all 10 tracks, for example. So that's something to be aware of.
And also be aware of when you have a request widget that it's only going to work with tags, with songs that have tags on it, and then you have to specify those tags within the request tab inside of your settings.
Yeah.
So we've got Paul from DST News has asked, how can I go live? There's quite a lot of ways to go live on Radio.co. The first things I'd say, like the first kind of bases you need to check off are either have a live event in your schedule or have live anytime. Second one is obviously you need a broadcaster for that, and then obviously you need something to broadcast from, be it a computer or, like we spoke earlier about, a phone, tablet, something like that. So yeah, and if you go to we've got a specific live broadcasting section on the help center as well, which kind of talks you through all the applications that you can use, how to connect them, and the different various settings that you can do with that, and your metadata settings, and yeah. So that's the kind of the best resource to get started with a live broadcast. What are the 3 key things about starting a radio that makes it successful? And that's from Shanae at UR Victory Radio. Sorry. Funny, you guys. Sorry, I was asking you guys. Sorry.
Sorry, do apologise. So, really, success is obviously defined by a multitude of things, but yeah, the main thing is obviously getting your station out there. So using social media, obviously social media, like you were saying earlier on, Dave, Instagram Live, it's an amazing tool. It literally allows you to get your station worldwide. So it's been on all the main social media. So you've got your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, and I've probably missed another one out I've not thought of. But yeah, they're like your kind of your main 3 ones. Just obviously publish about your station, let people know about it. Obviously, provide, like with the Facebook, for example, if you have over 2,000 likes on your Facebook page, you can actually embed our Facebook player, which will allow obviously people to access your radio stream directly from Facebook itself on your page. So it's things like that. It's obviously, like you say, engaging with your listeners. So engaging on like Instagram Lives, doing even something we're doing now. We're using a program called StreamYard, but what you can do is you can also do like live shows, or you can even have like a live broadcast of you DJing where you are currently. You're doing a DJ set. You can have a live broadcast of you doing that. And obviously, it's engaging with the listeners, so the listeners feel part of your station. Obviously, another thing which is very good and very important is make sure you're not repeating songs too often, or it's the same kind of scheduling. That's another one what we see sometimes, where a lot of stations tend to like have the same like 2 or 3 playlists which are just back to back, or it's scheduled in. It might be like 5 till 10 every day, Monday to Sunday, and it might be the afternoon playlist, we'll call it, for example. And if you start having the same playlist on all the time, day in, day out, listeners can start get a bit bored of the audio which is being broadcasted. Doing a lot of live broadcasts, that's probably what I'd recommend. Obviously bringing it in a bit more, just to obviously keep it fresh and keep the listeners engaged. They're really my 2 main points. That's what I personally recommend. Is there any you guys think, Josh or Dave?
You can take advantage of stuff that repurposes your content, such as Lula TV, Restream. These are all services that connect to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, all at the same time. And you can choose your social network of preference and push all your content to all of them at the same time. That's all I got for that.
Yeah, I kind of just say like you've got like loads of things at your disposal, like message boards, things like that. If you're doing like a local kind of base station for where you live, there's loads of like Facebook groups, things like that. The sell and swap groups, like what's going on locally. There's loads of stuff like that. So get yourself into groups. Vice versa, if you maybe do more specialized music, there's loads of groups and message boards, blogs. Really just get yourself out there. For me, kind of perseverance is king with this kind of stuff. It's you're not going to get a million listeners like that overnight. It happens when you kind of get yourself out there and keep persevering.
Yeah. The things you do on a daily basis, make sure you're doing a lot of reaching out to people. If you're playing people's content, you're playing people's songs or interviews or podcasts, reach out to them and let them know that you're doing so that they can spread the word themselves. Personally, if I'm doing something and I'm playing an artist that people don't necessarily know, but they love, and this artist has a following somewhere else, I'll purposely reach out to that artist and say, hey, your stuff is in heavy rotation on our end. And then they'll post something in relation to my station on their platform. And that it opens it up for everybody. And then what's crazy is the artists will have mutual interest in what's going on the station, so they can educate themselves too when they come back. And it's just an ongoing relationship you're creating just by reaching out. And that's just one person. So
yeah, no, exactly. It's like you say, it's just obviously making sure you've got to give the listener a reason to obviously come back and listen to your station. They've got to want to. So, it's a bit of a weird saying, but it's the same thing with sales in a shop, for example. You've got a sale on it attracts buyers to come into the shop, and it's the same thing with a radio station. You've got to attract listeners when they listen to your station. So another thing is as well, you could be like you could obviously cover something quite niche. For example, I was speaking to someone recently, and they had like a station on astronomy. And obviously that's not something you tend to have quite a lot of. And it was quite interesting. Obviously, it's quite a niche market, and obviously they've got a quite stable amount of listeners there, and a lot of returning listeners, because it's obviously something a bit different to what other radio stations are doing. So it might be worth obviously looking into like another niche market as well on your station.
Cool. Yeah, I completely agree with all that. Yeah, and I think that is a good place to kind of round this off tonight.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for tuning in. No doubt we'll be back with another request show soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
The Radio.co